Patrick, that an old acquaintance of his from Fulda has died at 91 years of age. Emil Zeppa?
C-Z-E-P-A. JP.
That's how it's pronounced.
That's how they pronounce it there. That's my dad. That's our neighbor. He lived in the back.
He said, well, here's the kicker on the text. I would have told him myself, but he blocked me on Twitter. Thought he might want to know.
Well, that's possible.
Yeah, we all do that.
Yes, that's true. It's especially since I made my comeback after spending time in the boring world of blue sky.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not worth it. But Emil was the backdoor neighbor. He had this beautiful garden. Right, that he just took care of. Man, he's a chubby. He was built like me, a chubby guy. Always wore bib overalls. Mm-hmm. But he had a son who was like the greatest athlete in Fulda history, Jimmy. But my old man, he's an undertaker in a small town, so he had like 250 days a year to just think of stuff. Because he didn't have, as I always said, 40 funerals was a good year.
Right, right, yeah, in a town that size.
But Emil's had this manicured it and everything, and my father would dig up a little garden, and Emil was always growing tomatoes, and it takes forever to grow tomatoes. So my dad would go back there and say, Emil, it's sure taking you a long time to grow those tomatoes. And then he'd plant a little plant. Then he'd go uptown to the garden shop, where they were growing them.
Yes.
And all of a sudden he'd have a bigger one, like 3 days. Look at this, Emil. Within 2 weeks, he was getting tomatoes. just to needle Emil.
Just to get him going.
Yes.
Yeah. So you remember him. You definitely remember him.
I remember Emil.
Did you know he'd passed away?
No, I had not. Yeah. I didn't realize that.
91. That's a good run.
That's a good run, yeah. I wonder if he stayed in the same house, house.
Is there such a thing as, we were just talking about this at the top of at the end of the last hour, is there, we had a nice text from a farmer, were there a lot of farms? You grew up in the city of Fulda. You weren't a farm boy, Fulda, were you?
No, I wasn't. But most of the kids I went to school with, I'd say at least half.
Yeah.
I was very bitter. I'm still bitter. When there'd be a big snowstorm and the country's roads were blocked, us city kids still have to go to school so they could count it as a year.
Yes,
so
of course.
Sometimes we'd have the big blizzard. We wouldn't see those rubes for 4 days, and we'd be.
Meanwhile, you had to go to school.
We had to go to school.
That doesn't seem right. That does not seem.
I was telling somebody this story last night. One of my best friends was Gary Hint, who died a little while ago, but he was a long-time wrestling and football coach at Little Wabasso. He's in the Hall of Fame nationally for wrestling coach. They won more mats than anybody, but we were having one of those 11, 12-year-old sleepovers,
Mm-hmm.
and we went out to his house, and they got me up at 4:30 in the morning to do stuff. And I said, from now on, these are held in town at our house. That was my one and only.
They had you doing the chores, huh?
Oh, yeah. You were there. You did the chores, man. Yeah, unbelievable.
That's remarkable.
The lives they lived compared to us city boys are just
quite. Even in Fulda, there was a great contrast between the city and the country.
Oh, yes, there was.
The gravelly voice of Patrick Reusse in studio, if it needs any introduction. Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line is open at 64686. Give me, how many Winter Olympics did you cover? Have you covered?
Three and 3 summer, but Calgary was the first, 88. I was still in St. Paul. This was probably my last.
Yeah, we both, that's right.
Remember, it was terrible because there was no events. They still had the small winter schedule.
They did.
But ABC, I think, had just signed a new contract, so they wanted 3 weekends.
They did. It went on forever. And they had no snow for a while.
Came in.
Yeah. And
apparently you were saying, what's going on? And they said, well, the Chinook came in and it was 60 degrees.
Exactly right. They didn't have enough snow.
We were having the downhill with gravel on the side. But
that's very true. Give me, if you're ranking, for all your Winter Olympics, Patrick Reusse's number one Winter Olympic story to cover or moment to cover.
Well, you can't beat Tanya and Nancy.
That's already come up via the text line.
Yeah, you gotta go with Tanya. But my favorite ever was Peekaboo Street when she was finished second in the downhill, and then the next time she went. But you just go out there, and back then it wasn't as easy to research the whole backstory as we had. Angus Phillips and I were standing together at the bottom of the hill. Great writer from the Washington Post, a little more dignified than me, but Peekaboo comes down second, and there's this goofy guy standing there outside, and it turns out to be her father, who was they were flower children from the parents were
back in the 60s.
The 60s, and they'd drive to Mexico and spend 4 months in Mexico and drive back to some place, compound in Idaho or something. Stumpy, wasn't it? Stumpy, I think. And then his wife, so we got to do this, get the whole story, and then she talked about it, and he was. That was like you're out there and you're doing.
You're just looking.
Once in a while, they present something to you. I remember that one greatly. And
Roland Stubby Street.
Stubby.
Yes.
Stubby, D and Stubby.
They had a altercation later in life, Peekaboo and him and the mother or something. He was acting like an idiot. I can see that. And I read it that the mother said, the Peekaboo's mother said he had screwed up his meds and was acting goofy. Well, he was acting a little goofy without his meds. So I mean, before he had any meds. But yeah, that guy. That's
because you don't expect it coming. You don't see it coming. That's the beauty
go
of
up
it.
there and write a nothing story, and then once in a while it falls in your lap.
That's the beauty of it.
Most of the time it's routine. I mean, if you're writing Nancy and Tanya, it's great,
kinda writes
but
itself.
you're writing the same thing. What I remember about Nancy and Tanya, though, isn't, her breaking her laces and the whole deal, but there was a smaller arena where they had the practices, and they dumb idiots from IOC said, United States practices at this time. So they had Nancy and Tanya, and there was a third skate, practicing together in this small arena. Honest to God, Dan, this little, it'd be like Braemar or something, not even that big. 300 media people around there waiting to see if they're going to punch each other.
They're going to come to blows.
This is really the first time they'd been together, but it is one of the great stories in Olympic history.
Well, think of that story today. Mm-hmm. It would break the internet.
Yes.
I mean, it's,
you saw I, Tanya, obviously.
Yes.
Allison Janney as mom is one of the great performances in movie history.
Yes.
If that was an apt depiction of mom, where Tanya got it.
There's no question.
Yeah.
You mentioned being at the bottom of the hill. I always found that one of the more humbling moments where you you see how freaking high that is, and you see this little shape, dashing down this hill. I mean, it's. You don't really get a feel for that event without being at the bottom.
And when we were at the Olympics, when we were going, you, to get to the downhill, it was always early in the morning, the bus.
Long bus,
and you'd be taking the bus, and you'd be on, all of a sudden you'd start looking at those lights, and it was like the two Empire State Buildings.
True.
It was... in 2002 in Salt Lake, they let us go up about 2/3 of the way, maybe, and then you could go in this little area. Mm-hmm. And it was for the men's, and they were jumping over one of the big leaps that you just make as you're speeding down the hill. One of the jump that was like over our head, and you just can't believe how fast it is.
No. So you've not watched much this year? It hasn't caught your eye? Are you losing your feel for it? Or?
I've never been as interested as when I'm there. I really enjoyed it. But I watched, I watched the hockey.
Right.
And today, my girl Abby made a nice defensive play there in overtime to get us into extras. But I heard Mr. Guard... Or I saw Mr. Guard complaining he doesn't like 3-on-3.
I don't love it. You like it.
I think
somebody
it's
said
the
you tweeted
greatest
that.
invention in history. It gets the game over.
You want it over.
Well, I want it over. Plus, what sense is there to have these NHL teams play until 1 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Oh, it's so exciting. No, it's not. They can't move. They're stumbling around like, and they play and play and play. I think... Okay, I'll give them one overtime, but then get it over.
Get it done. Yeah,
anyway.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I can one of the great aggravations for me early in my newspaper career here was people basically said that they didn't even give me a choice on covering almost every day of the state high school hockey tournament. It was like I wasn't even given an option, and I would go. In part because I probably should to get to know the market, but because I feel like, okay, they're telling me I got to go. And I'd look for you.
Never.
And
there.
they'd go,
I was in Florida.
Reusse, he's not there. I said, what do you mean he's not here? He has to be here, right? No, he makes it a point of being sure that he misses it by being in spring training. How does he get away with that if I have to be here every day for 5 straight days? Or
One
4?
boss made me go to a session on Thursday. Now, this was when I was 8,
Yeah, back in,
And then when it was real.
Right.
And one boss made me go to a session, and I went to the afternoon game.
And you mocked it.
And the well-named Reggie Miracle of Columbia Heights set a record for the most saves, and they upset, Columbia Heights upset somebody mighty. And I got to write Reggie Miracle and made the 8 o'clock plane to Orlando or something. So anyway, I always got out of it.
You got out of it.
Made a shtick out of it.
Yeah, you did. It's like, oh, no, it's a shtick. Oh, that's great. That's great. I'd like it to be my shtick, too. I don't have to go every year.
I got to tell you that in addition to not missing the Olympics that much, although I enjoyed it when I was there.
Yeah.
Spring training, after 40 years, I don't care.
Now, that surprises me.
It has gotten, you used to wander in the clubhouse in the fourth inning and talk to anybody, and now everything's contrived.
I was telling this story to Kessler off air. In fact, I intended to ode the former pro basketball coach, Doug Moe, who passed away. And I didn't get to it during the show. But you'll appreciate this as part of an example of what's changed in our business. Way back then, this was actually before I came here, I was covering the NBA nationally for Dallas, for the Morning News. So Denver was good, and I said, okay, we're going to go do a Doug Moe profile. And so you check in with the media relations guy, and you say, hey, we want to do something big on him.
Yeah.
What kind of availability would there be? And they said, well, we checked with Doug. He said, what, you want to just join him for lunch? He goes to this one place for lunch every day. So I'm there at lunch for 3 hours. He's regaling people. And then he says, basically, I got a couple errands to run. You want to come with me? And it just strikes me, because now the layers that exist, there's no chance that could happen.
No, you get a nice
daily newspaper.
You get Finchy on the radio, or you get a 6-minute conversation with him.
Exactly.
I bet PA goes to lunch with Finchy. He has him on weekly. I'm sure that extends into a lunch from time to time.
Yeah, it's such a different...
it is. It's it's unbelievable that what we used to be able to do and what we do now. I mean, baseball. You could wander. If you're on the road, you're wandering the clubhouse at 2:00, and they would all be watching the same Adam Sandler movie or something. But they'd be laying around,
or playing cards, or
nothing, doing everything. Now it's 4:15 to 4:45.
So how long ago did you sell your condo down there in Fort Myers? How long has that been now?
Right after the pandemic.
Because I figured once you got that, you were going to be down there forever.
I did too, but then
just didn't work out that way.
It didn't. We were only staying down there like 2 months, 2.5, and the bride wasn't that excited. And when the bride's not that excited,
that takes care of it.
That takes care of that.
Yeah.
So
are you going down at all this year, spring training?
No.
Oh, you won't. Okay.
The last time I was down there, though, I did have a highlight. When I went down there just for a couple of weeks, I got to be at the Minnesota Club when they were honoring John Anderson.
Ah, yes.
And they had me, the Minnesota Club, Louis and all those people. Louis wasn't there that day, but all those people. And I got to stand up there and say, I've never been in a room with so many impressive tax dodgers.
Did they laugh?
Not all of them.
Yeah,
they sit there and wait for it to be 6 months and 3 days just so their math isn't wrong.
Oh,
so
believe me.
And then they fly back on their private planes to avoid taxes.
Yes, you find that ironic, do you?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I do. That was fun.
Louis was. Yeah, we had it. Was he in Florida yesterday?
I haven't seen him in weeks. Well,
weeks shocks me. I figured it'd be years.
Yeah. Well.
Given his schedule.
At the time he was back this year for the juniors and all that, the times he had to spend back in the States, he's going to be in Florida till July to get his 6 months in.
true.
If ever a guy needs that 6 months, it's Louie.
Luigi, of all people.
Yeah, right.
Ask Reusse, when was the last Fulda Wood Duck Festival he attended? You familiar with the Fulda Wood Duck Festival?
Yeah, I haven't been there.
Is that famous?
Well, yeah, they had a Fulda Wood Duck Festival.
I
It
love it.
started up, I don't know, maybe in the 60s sometime. Yes. But I got to admit, I'd only seen about 2 wood ducks in Fulda my whole life. It wasn't exactly like we weren't being overwhelmed with, they're a
teeming
very
masses
colorful
of them?
bee, a smaller duck, and it's a smaller duck, and they live in trees, Do you ever see the video of what the mama wood duck does with the babies?
No.
They get to about a certain point, and she just throws them out.
Is that right? Just fend for yourselves.
Throws them out of the nest, and they, what's going on?
That's how they learn.
Anyway, yeah, the Wood Duck Festival. I don't know if we still have it or not. Downtown is not exactly.
Is population dwindling? I mean, what was it at its peak?
1,100, but it's still around there, they say, but there's no businesses.
Is there anybody left there that you know?
2-3 businesses downtown. Not really. My cousin Eddie died. And Deli Koopman, a star pitcher, last time I was down there about 5-6 years ago, I took him to lunch and we talked for an hour, but he's no longer with us. I don't know. As you get older, more people die. I never...
Who knew?
Who could have guessed that that's the way that works?
Bozich brings that up with me all the time. Yes. It's unbelievable,
Yes. Anyway, that's, but I did go to a Fulda reunion. I was 60, I think.
Is that right?
I went to the 50, and then they had a 60, and I said, it was a 60? Yeah, 60. And the wife passed on it, so I just drove down there. But, some of my old friends, are... We got to get a better dentistry now. They're letting their teeth go. It bothered me a lot. I got teeth.
Is that a problem?
I look like in rural Minnesota that we're not paying attention to our teeth.
Dental hygiene, eh?
Yes. Oh. Well, not so much hygiene. It's just keeping them.
Keeping the teeth, yeah.
Most of them should be kept.
Yeah.
I just think teeth are very important. And nothing more... bigger pain in the rear end of being a senior citizen. Anyway,
I want to get, and I got a lot of people who want to talk about current sports stuff, and we will. I promise you, they want you to weigh in on a number of issues. But I want to go back a little bit first, because I know we've talked Bud, I'm sure, once or twice over the years before. But give me, from your perspective, give me a couple of your best Bud moments. And I'm wondering, were you a Bud agitator? Or you were already writing columns. You had part of that time you were writing columns, weren't you?
Yeah, to some extent. I started in '79.
Yeah, okay. So were you a Bud agitator?
I was one of the lone agitators of both. But when is the pass to Ahmad that was it in the end zone that won the the end of the game?
Yeah, Gargi double check the year.
Justin's lifetime, but
definitely, yeah. But Kramer to Ahmad, right?
Kramer to Ahmad at the end
to win the game. You got to get him in the playoffs,
and
right?
I'd been out there that used to be when you used to go out to training. They're getting ready to play a late season game, and you could just stand by the thing and watch him.
Yes.
And they were throwing these passes and tip ball. They were having this tip ball thing. And I wrote a column in the St. Paul Dispatch, but we didn't. You could write anything you wanted in the St. Paul Dispatch because it never made it to Bloomington. Nobody from the Twins ever saw anything I wrote, but which is good. But I wrote a column about Bud's the only coach who practices luck. And then they won that week, like my Friday column. And then
that weekend.
And instead of looking like a rip, it looked like...
very prescient. Yeah, right. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
What was the date, Gargi?
That's the Miracle at the Met, 1980.
Yes, 1980.
Week 15, 1980 NFL season.
Yeah,
against the Browns.
That was quite a one. And he, I think, one time... St. Paul paper, we brought in a new Viking writer, and our boss didn't like him after about a month.
Really?
So it was in, and so he put him on some other beat and was going to bring somebody else in. And they needed to go to exhibition game in Anaheim. We went to Anaheim late night exhibition game. We got to be there. That isn't quite like it is now.
No.
But so he put me on a plane, and I got on a Viking plane. And Bud turned around and was in front of me and turned around, kind of kneeled in the seat and told me Sid stories and other stories for like at least a half hour.
Really?
And then he turned around and that was it. Then I thought of something I wanted to say, and I tapped him, and he ignored it completely. That was it. We have done that.
Right, we're done.
Now that's
Leave me alone.
over. There's the famous story about Mike Lynn lines up their first corporate sponsor. So that's, I don't know what it is. Bud's still coaching. What was the name? One of the local companies. And they had a reception for him the night before. Mm-hmm. And they let him stay at Gage Hall, the lucky devils. And the next morning, Bud's going to breakfast at 7:30, and this guy comes out, and, hey, Bud, and he puts his hands out, and Bud says, we did that yesterday.
That sounds like Bud.
Back then.
By the way, maybe you can be a point of clarification on this. I think I asked you this via text a while ago. So this last football season, late, might even been playoffs, Fran Tarkenton out of nowhere sends out or has an interview or a video where he basically says, one of my frustrations looking back on our Super Bowl setbacks is that we didn't practice the week of the game. And
I was even
the week before, I should say. Yeah, the week off.
Practice.
And he really thinks that's a really, that ended up. He also made it sound like he basically ran the offense, and so he wasn't even around to put the offense in, which didn't say much about Jerry Burns.
That's a pretty good shot at Burns.
Yeah, exactly.
Burnsy and the
so do you remember
Burnsy and the assistants were always out there, but Bud they didn't practice.
Okay.
I think they had the week every time too, but I don't think that explains the way Fran played against Pittsburgh when it was 2-0 at halftime, Fran is, but
didn't he allegedly have a bad arm in one of those games?
Yeah, I think that was the game.
It might have been that game.
That's the one. That's the one that they were probably the better team because Pittsburgh was not fully formed.
Yes, not yet.
They were, but you look back at Kansas City and everybody, a big upset. Look at that.
No, they were.
Look at that collection, and then we kicked the hell out of them on the Sunday of the next season.
Big deal.
Sid's, go back and look at Sid. Now we showed them. Okay, thanks. And then, and they were,
sounds like
and
Sid.
they were, they were Miami, one of the great teams of all time. And then Oakland, Stu Boyd always told me, he said, we were going downhill by then. And
by that
Oakland was,
so do you buy
3 of the 4 times they were outclassed.
The popular wisdom here is the Hail Mary team was the best team Bud ever had. That's what people want to hold on to. If we'd have gone through there, we'd have won the Super Bowl. Do you agree with that was their best team?
Who beat them? That
was the Hail, Drew Pierce.
Oh yeah, that was a good team. That was a really good team.
Yeah.
So, the funny thing is, a much worse call, and it would have never worked in modern times. Is that Drew Pearson was 12 yards out of bounds.
Yes,
he caught the one at the 50-yard line.
Well, that's the one where, what's his name?
Jankowski.
Jankowski kicked him. Yeah, he kicked him. Yeah, still can't make up.
Yeah.
But they kissed and made up later. He and Drew had a long talk.
I went out and saw Dick.
Did you?
Dick and I are buddies.
Yes.
And I went out and saw
the Polish Eagle.
Dick, I actually was being honored once by the Minutemen when they were virtually extinct as a thing, but it was then Mancini's at luncheon time, and this was when Dick had just gotten released from his duties at Williams Arena, and Dick was the MC, and Dick did about a 15-minute tribute to Dick. And Ricey's here, which is fine with me.
Sure, yes,
but Dick was Dick, and then I had to get up and say, Dick told, this is 1995, maybe. Dick told a Lance Rentzel joke.
Oh, no.
Lance, Lance exposed himself 30 years ago.
Yeah.
I said, Dick, we have more recent scandals than that to discuss. We don't have to go
the dated ones are
We
unneeded.
don't have to go back to Lance Russell.
That's pretty
We got
good.
drunken driving charges and Tommy going on the radio in Chicago.
That's true.
When he's .37.
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah, that was infamous as well.
Yeah.
Let's take our first break. Patrick Reusse is in studio for the rest of the hour. We'll get to some current day sports stuff as well, and whatever other direction he'd like to go in. 64686. Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line, back in just a minute. Bill writes this from Minnetonka. Dan, so much fun to hear you and Patrick together. Years ago, when you were both columnists for the Strip, I didn't like either of you because you were both so negative. After a few years, you both became my favorites. Either you mellowed, or more likely, I got crabby and cynical at my old age, too. Either way, it's a delight to hear you guys.
Are you sure that's not my father?
Together.
Is that not my dad?
Yes.
What's his name?
This idea that...
Well, it could be a burner. Could be a burner account.
That might
Bill.
be my dad.
You know, I used to walk into Williams Arena, and I'd be walking in, and people would say, "Write something good, Ricey," and I'd say, "It's not up to me." This team that is about to take the court will make that decision. It's not up to me. Let's see what happens, and that's always had to decide. Oh boy, I'm going to be, I'm going to be negative today. Let's see what happens.
Give me something to be positive about. Is what you're saying now?
Yeah. Now here's the deal, though. The business has changed so much now that Dan. I thought it was kind of comical that the first time we printed the paper in Des Moines that they got snowed out. They got 35W got closed up, but it's a completely different world now because they want columns at 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then on Saturday they want deadlines like 2 p.m. or something for everything. So,
all right, do me this favor. Project in your head what you think the newspaper business is going to look like in, let's say, 20 years. Is it literally not going to? Is it not going to exist?
I wonder when the Washington Post stops printing the sports section and everything going. I just they don't need us when they got Bill from AI to do and he won't have deadline problems either. He won't have to hack it out. Yes. He can just send it. So this is probably the last gasp, I would guess. It'd be nice if it could stick around for a while.
It would be,
but it's sudden. It's happened so suddenly. Is what's astounding is the print edition is no longer the thing they care about.
So do you buy the theory that one of the biggest blunders that early in the internet age that the newspaper business made was to give away too much, so much that once they realized we can't give away this much and we're going to make you pay for it, that people said no. Is it more complicated?
But I think it's more complicated than that because so much of it is free. You don't have to. You don't have to read about the Gopher women's basketball game. You can somewhere else. You can without paying for it at the Star Tribune. I would say is what the thing. And the other thing, I lamented about this today, JG. Not Justin Garden. And who's I calling? Who's JG?
JG is Justin Garden. That works too. Those are
somebody. I got another.
Guardsy.
I got another.
You got another one? Yeah. We call him many things.
Guardsy.
Tasteless box of mashed potatoes.
I did a fine job of slipping in a PJ rip in my Nico column, and nobody,
they didn't even notice.
Nobody gets, it was like the fourth graph. But I pointed out that Nico held the Ducks to only 2 more points than PJ held the Ducks to 3 months earlier.
Oh, that is a good line. I missed that one.
I didn't make a.
It was very subtle.
Left it there. I thought, now where are you telling me what a jerk I am, people? Nobody got to the 5th graph. That was very disappointing.
That's the word.
Yeah, that's too
people
bad.
have never understood, though, if you really want to wound a satirist,
yes.
is you don't get mad at him. That's what he wants, or get indignant with what he's done.
Finally onto you.
They ignore the rip, and then you got nowhere to go.
After 50 years, they're finally on you.
They figured it out.
Right.
Yeah. Took a while.
It's right.
You had a good cheap shot in at the end of your most recent baseball column regarding the free agent who got away.
Everybody else.
Yeah. That's it.
I saw that. Now, Tom Pohlad, these could be the first baseball games he's ever watched. He's obviously, the family trusted him to run the whole business except baseball. And they had Joe in baseball, and that didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I think it's instructive that when Joe left baseball and Tom took over and left the big business, the other job, the third brother, Chris, got the job and not Joe. So, but Tom he's trying to, he hasn't been around baseball enough to know. Every time the Twins have told us how close they came to signing somebody, we laughed at them and made fun of it, and it was so predictable. I think he needs a PR handler, but I don't know if he's the kind of guy that I want.
Here's the other thing.
He's not he seems like an okay guy, but he's just not very familiar with what might work with an audience.
One of the other things you wrote, I think this was when the manager or the Falvey decision was announced, is a belief you have that you're seeing a major turn in general to the way the organization is going to be run. That doesn't mean better or worse, but different, correct?
Yeah, I think it's always
more businessy.
It's always been chummy. I just don't think. Billy Smith's going to be walking around the locker room free, and it's not, And what's interesting, though, is they fired Rocco and replaced him with Shelton. He's the same guy. They're the best of friends. Yeah. The same guy.
They're claiming early, you've heard this before, training camp or at spring training, more of a hard edge. We're really being drilled down harder. The expectations are more, are more laid out in a way that they weren't before. I mean, we've heard this before. I don't know how true it is, but that's what they're claiming.
Yeah. Early. There's one thing that I'm all in on the idea that they're underfinancing this team, but the fact that the payroll is down $30 million. Your shortstop is going to be making $800,000 instead of $35 million. That pretty well takes care of it, right?
Yeah.
So
right.
You're not necessarily worse there, but
you could send it somewhere else
instead of making a phony run at Framber Valdez. Why didn't they give Joe Ryan a 3 or 4 year contract?
I can't argue with that.
I don't know.
What's the attendance going to be like this year?
Ooh, terrible. Well, I wrote this the other day. They got 17 home games in April.
I didn't realize that until you wrote it.
What do you think that's going to be like?
That's well planned out.
Yeah, that'll be $4,000 a night. And
but $2 beers.
$2 beers.
Yeah, just
only till first pitch, right?
Well, I guess that's true. Yeah, isn't that, technically. Yeah,
I think the Saints do the same thing over there.
They do.
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a low point because. You know why it's a low point? Because contraction would have been a low point, but the social media was not.
That's true.
They could go on Twitter and say, we have just donated $1 billion to the fund for post-ice Minneapolis, and people start making fun of them. They can't. They're getting killed, but when you got the combination of Quinn Hughes in the Wild still being playing in June, and
is that your prediction?
Yes, that guy's unbelievable. It's the greatest trade in sports history here in the Twins. I'm trying to think of a better trade than that one. This guy's great.
He is great.
And then he got the winner last night, right?
He did.
And the Timberwolves will be around for a couple of rounds, so. Hey, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
I was trying to think of this. The disgust when the Twins lose to a bad opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Do we hold basketball teams to a different standard of every time they play poorly, it's because they didn't show up.
You're talking about the Wolves?
Yeah, the Wolves.
Yes, yes.
But
yes.
the Wild play sure poorly. That's okay. The Twins play poorly. We expect it.
Right.
But I think we don't like for some reason we don't see inconsistency as genuine in the NBA, and it is.
Well, yeah,
there are
and you know
times
what some of that is.
Yeah.
I think some of that is because I get it via text every day. There's some people who just flat out don't like pro basketball.
Yes.
I don't want to go into all the reasons why some of them don't, but I think we know in some cases. But it's not even that. It's just, well, that's what I hear. They don't try. But I got to tell you, as a big defender of this league forever, it's harder and harder for me to defend this nonsense when we've gone past the point of what I would describe as responsible tanking.
Yes.
That I think we can all accept as it's a trade-off. You just have to deal with it too. We're winning the game, so we're going to pull our best two players to start the fourth quarter against Utah.
That's true.
That unfortunately contributes to the notion, that and the fact that we can't get anybody to play hard in the All-Star game. Those are the combinations of things.
Now, we had to have the commissioner come out and congratulate the players for it. I didn't watch it because I didn't know who the hell was playing.
I'm with you. It was too confusing.
I don't know who's playing who, but I just think that we can. It's okay to say a basketball player had a bad night without him tanking or not giving a damn. I mean, Jade McDaniels, I love him. It would have been nuts if we traded him in Milwaukee, but he had 3 points and went 1 for 9.
Right.
It's not because he wasn't trying.
He wasn't interested.
It was just because he was bad.
Well, here's the other thing that contributes to it is, you got the head coach. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's stay on schedule. We need a break, and we'll stay with the Wolves, and I want to get to a couple other current sports items as well. Patrick Reusse in studio for the hour. Back in a minute. Dr. Dan's inbox will be open today, so Guardsy's still looking for some submissions. JG at KFAN.com. Real quick.
With JG gone 90% of the time doing women's basketball games and other stuff, I never know who the guy you have in here with you.
Brett Blakemore?
Who's the back?
Brett Blakemore.
Brett Blakemore. Okay.
Big Packers fan.
He seems like he's really into sports.
He's a big hockey guy.
Oh, hockey guy.
To the point where he agitates Russo, Micheletti, Fallness.
He's a lot less agreeable than me.
He's the contrarian on hockey. Yeah, he gets them all going. Yeah, because
there's nothing to be contrary to. Well, the Gophers, our guy Motzko's getting killed. But,
it's not good right now.
But that's not good. But nothing to be upset about with our.
Well, and here's the kicker on Guardsy. They're obviously in the tournament this year, so he could be gone extra. Yeah, I mean, depending on how far they go.
They're going to host the second round, aren't they?
That's the hope, right?
If they win Sunday, I think that kind of cements it. They should be in that position.
She kind of predicted this because they had to change the schedule at Williams Arena for the high school tournament.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Tournament because she wanted those dates for the women's
good point.
Tournament.
Now she looks like she knew what she was talking about. Yes.
She also didn't love going to Springfield, Missouri for the second round of the WBIT last year, or Toledo, Ohio for round 1.
You loved it.
I can't imagine ever going back, but it was nice to see once.
One other thing on the Wolves, you got to remember too. You got the head coach talking about the foul moods that several mood swings that our players have. You got Johnny Krasinski saying it's the moodiest team he's ever covered.
Really?
So some of it is that. In fact, we talked to Mike Conley, who's back again, and he basically said, "I'm in charge of moods. That's part of my job. Yeah. I'm kind of in charge of that."
Yes.
What are we going to do at quarterback? What is the Reusse advice for the folks at TCO Performance Center going into training camp this coming year?
Dear God, don't bring back Kirk outside of that. I can't stand that fawning. But that would be my prediction, Kirk. They're going to be somebody back. And
do they have to promise him he's going to start?
They're certainly going to have to promise him he's
got a chance.
He's number one when it's.
And where are you on McCarthy? Do you think he's a lost cause, or do you think you got to hang with it? What do you think?
I think that he's got to shut up and not tell us about nine and all that. Just to
change his Insta profile every 15 minutes.
Yeah, because once the pressure was off completely, he wasn't quite that terrible. But
you just answered it though.
Here's what scares me. he was playing with the best defense in the country and the best running game in the country. So whenever he rolled out to throw a pass, there was nobody there to to go chase him. But I'd say it's 30-70 against. But I don't know what they were doing last year, really, in retrospect.
I don't think they did.
Spend all that money and then say this kid's going to be the quarterback. But I'd like to go back and find all those,
Patrick.
I'd like to go back and find all those people after the fourth quarter of the opener who said, "We got our quarterback.
They did.
We left the bar."
They did.
That was a little quick for a
that might have been Quasi fall guy or legitimately dismissed.
I think when you look at the numbers on the draft, it's probably fairly legitimately defense. But to pretend like he's the guy who said draft J.J. McCarthy is crap.
Absurd.
That's
O'Connell, and that's the dividing line.
O'Connell and Flores probably called his shots on the lot of. You know what his draft first choice it was? If it was him, Lewis Sin instead of taking Hamilton when he was right there. That
continues to haunt.
That was idiotic. But the public was all in on getting rid of him because they didn't want to blame O'Connell. Now, didn't you get that impression?
A lot of it is that, that's true. Although I think that's going to shift. Because now Quasi's gone, and I think he's on the clock now.
I didn't cover him. I don't go out there much because we got 18 guys covering the Vikings. But he's a sensitive fellow.
Yes,
apparently.
that's the word.
The word is that unlike Zim, who would just yell at somebody.
Yes.
But here's what upsets me. O'Connell didn't have a chance to be covered by the Tom Bomb. Chris Thomason. If Chris Thomason had been here to throw some Tom bombs at O'Connell, I would have paid $100 a day. Yeah. Here you go, Chris. Ask him a Tom bomb, will you? It was the greatest questions ever. Zim under his breath and say, "Oh, not him again."
So where is he now? I've lost track. Is he Denver still?
With my guy Sean Payton.
And how is that relationship? Is it testy?
I don't know, but he got on that. He's on that Woody Page, whatever that publication is out there. He got on with Woody, and so I don't know what it is. It's a kind of an alternate. It's an electronic newspaper.
I lost track of what Woody was up to.
Electronic sports newspaper, I think, and whatever it is. But that's where he went. He was the greatest question to answer. They say you beat your wife. I mean,
right.
He was not that bad. But,
it would be. It would have made for some interesting. Well, because the thing with KOC is it's tense, but he does a pretty good job of hiding that. You hear about it behind the scenes. That there have been some scenes, but not when the lights
show it to the public.
Does not show it to the public
Real
at
quick,
all.
My favorite. I was getting somebody to tell I got to tell my favorite story again. Jim Capel, the late great Jim Capel. What a tragedy! But he's become a columnist at the St. Paul paper, and he was really good at going to interview stuff. And he got a big interview from Isaiah, and then. Isaiah Ryder.
Okay, junior.
All new Isaiah. And your favorite coach is...
Was it Bill Blair then?
Bill Blair.
Okay.
Bill Blair. Opening night, we're out there doing the on-the-court thing. And and he said to Bill Blair, Isaiah Ryder says he's a new man and he's doing it. And opening night, he got fired 20 games later. Bill Blair looks at Capes and says, Isaiah Ryder is a piece of bleep.
I don't remember that one.
Yes, right there in the
doesn't shock me
on opening day.
No,
and I think Ed says one thing. Bill Blair was honest, and he knew he wasn't going to last long.
Yeah, it liberated him
because Kevin McHale's best friend at that time was now on the staff. So
that's exactly it. Well, the Blair story I tell is a more apocryphal. I said when it came to Ryder, the stories were that everyone that he might be walking downtown Minneapolis, and that Blair would stop people that he didn't even know to say, by the way, do you know what I think of Isaiah Jr. J. Ryder? And they'd say, no, I really don't care, and still tell them the exact same thing that he told Jim Capel. Yeah.
What a great coach. Is he still with us?
That's a great question. I have not talked to Bill Blair in years.
But I haven't seen any,
When he left, he got very bitter, and he blamed a lot of us that didn't really have anything to do with it, even though, I'd had a good relationship with him. But you know how that stuff goes.
He had Leitner and Ryder.
Yeah, think about it. Well, the anniversary of the famous Leitner moment going around the Wolves, locker room going, loser, and then at his nameplate, winner. It's one of the great moments in Minnesota Timberwolves history.
Yes, it is. And later in life, I've had people tell me that, Leitner's not that bad a guy, but, oh, man, was he.
Well, he has softened. Because we had him on. He used to come back here to fish with Sal Brandis.
Really?
Oh, they became best buddies.
They're still buddies.
He came in on a Sunday morning to be on the show, one of his fishing weekends.
Really?
And he was a charmer. He couldn't have been more of a puppy
Dan
dog than
Patrick, he gets softened up. Now he and Mace are buddies. He and Leitner are buddies.
Wow.
All the guys. Bill Blair, by the way, last coached in 2001. He's 83 years old.
But he is alive.
He's alive.
Mace should send you guys a check for $500 every month.
He doesn't believe it.
What you've done to his image is unbelievable. He's now gone from boo to good old Mace.
You know who else says that? Louis. But he never wants to believe it.
Louis was never a bad guy.
No, but I'm saying Louis has the same observation to Mace, that Mace, your image has been transformed on that show. And, of course, Mace doesn't want to listen to any of it.
No. But
sadly.
Even I get along with Mace now. That's you know why? Because my buddy Joe Driscoll, who died, town ball guy, painted his house. He said, I got Driscoll painting my house. I said, okay, so you went cheap then. But
what is your proudest, when you talk about the sort of stories you write that aren't about big sports or big things, is it town ball? What is the one that you sort of developed over the years?
I'm getting away from it a little bit because a lot of people are doing it. But I go out there 20 years ago and start writing about the country boys. And, I come from that, but Stearns County and that. You go up to Stearns County now, and, Stearns County used to vote for Eugene McCarthy by about a 75% ratio.
How about now?
Not now.
A little redder, maybe?
Not now. It's they got a big... Yeah, I saw a big sign yesterday nearby. God bless Trump, and it was the size of that window.
Things change.
So that guy, he wasn't hiding his favoritism. I'll say that.
Did I tell you the one of the my most prized possessions I have is a framed letter that Eugene McCarthy wrote to Paul Newman and his wife, Joanne Woodward, thanking them for their support as he's preparing to go to Chicago for the 68 convention.
Really? How'd you get that?
I did it. It was an auction. The Newman, Newman family did an auction, and amazingly, I won it. You would appreciate it. A lot of the youngsters wouldn't, but it's tremendous.
He played baseball in Watkins and was very good, and they had an old-timers game in the 70s.
Oh, man.
And he was there, and I went up there and talked to him and did a column.
Was he friendly? Because he could be icy.
By then, he was friendly, but he was, I'd have to try to find that, but I went up there for the Dispatch back then and wrote a column on Eugene being, and we didn't have the great political, we did have the great political divide in the World War in the 60s.
Right.
But he was a hell of a baseball player.
Well, I didn't realize
Watkins,
that.
Minnesota.
Yeah. Right. A lot of people forget he opened the door on the Vietnam War stuff, and then Bobby Kennedy jumped in after McCarthy showed the LBJ vulnerability on the issue.
Yeah, he ended the Vietnam War.
Yeah, basically.
More than anybody.
All right, my sources say you've just signed a new 5-year contract.
2.
Oh, it's a 2 only?
2.
Well, but that's with an option? Do you have an option for year 3?
Here's the deal. If we make it 2 years, and I think I can do it at the paper. It's just the other thing.
Yeah.
But that will take us to the 50th year of the Turkey of the Year.
That's what I remember you saying.
And we can,
but there's always another anniversary coming up that you could find to keep it going. Is my point.
That's right. I've ended it about 3 times, and it keeps coming back.
Gargi, tell the story again. On the last time,
the original retirement. Yeah, 2016 Ryder Cup Hazeltine. Yes. Pat, there's a tweet somewhere that says that will be my final column.
Yes, right.
That's 10 years ago.
You're going to write the next Ryder Cup at Hazeltine, not the one coming up. You're going to write the third time it comes back.
That's what I tell people who say, you promised you were going to retire as the Ryder. I said, I didn't say which one.
Yeah.
You know, so
that's it. Yeah,
I don't think. When is it here?
29, I think, because the COVID, they flipped it a year.
Maybe.
I think it was supposed to be 28.
Maybe I'll have to get one more 2 years
how's
ago.
the knee?
Terrific.
After a tough rehab, you're there.
Yes. I went out and saw Dr. Boyd, and after 5 weeks, and said, for 3 weeks, I called you a filthy name every day. And he says, that's the reason I don't see patients until 5 weeks, because all of a sudden it just started feeling better, and it's good. But this one here, the old lefty,
you're going to keep it.
That's with me till the end. Yeah, it's not quite as bad.
How about, do you have to do hips? Does anybody talk about hips? You're okay on hips?
Hips are easy.
Louis got hips easier?
Hips are easier, everybody says.
Louis got at least one knee. Does he have a hip too? I want to say he's got at least one hip in me and maybe
how much
maybe a brain. I don't remember.
How much do America's insurance companies hate knee replacement surgery? Everybody over 75 has one. They're all getting one, yeah. It can't be cheap. I can't believe it.
What do you got? So how many days a week do you write now?
3.
3, that's what I thought. Okay, so what's the next one? Is it in the books yet?
I haven't written it yet, but I went up to St. Cloud, and I'm going to write about the St. Cloud basketball team winning its first title since 2003 and struggling as a university up there.
Really?
They were playing first place game against Concordia last night, and official attendance was 454.
Man, that's too bad.
The AD's a nice gal too.
So that's coming up.
Yep. You know, age. What it's done to me is my procrastination is even worse, and then it takes me 3 hours to write one instead of an hour and a half. So it's a
are you
longer
kidding me?
Oh, it takes me forever to write it. But
that's a shock to those of us who sat next to you in the press box.
But what the hell else do I got to do anyway? So,
that's
I mean, there's nothing to do.
That's the other way to look at it for sure.
Can't play golf anymore. Last time I tried to play, I couldn't hit it out of the room.
So. How about bowling? Is that
bowling.
Curling? Have you joined a curling club?
I quit bowling the same time I quit drinking. Those two things. That's a long time ago.
Were you ever a curler in your drinking days?
No, but I love curling.
It's fun to watch.
Love curling, yes. And I love the fact that if you touch the ball,
people lose their minds. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Thank you for coming in, my friend.
All right.
Always good,
No
and
problem.
we hope to do it again soon. Thank you, man.
Sure.
Patrick Reusse in studio. Dr. Dan's inbox later. Top 5 will include, I'm assuming, some Olympic stuff.
Gold and gold. We got to talk about it. Big gold medal.